Hi, I'm Amy from Mrs. Amy 123, and today I have a bit of spare time, so I thought I'd jump on here and give you guys a little bit of a insight into my journey in education so far. So my two daughters today are off with their grandparents in Perth. They're at a dinosaur exhibit. We actually took them to the dinosaur exhibit last year, but they've loved it so much that they just kept talking about it again and again and again that they wanted to go back. So we palmed that off to their grandparents. So I'm child-free today, and I thought that would be a great chance to jump on here and practice doing these Facebook Lives because they are just so nerve-wracking. And I really feel like I'm just talking to myself right now, but let's get on with it. So I wish that I could be one of those people that say, I've always wanted to be a teacher, but unfortunately for me, that's just not true. I have a very vivid memory of being in first grade, and it was the very, very last day of school, and it was a whole heap of us just gathered around the teacher and saying, you know, how much we loved her and we wanted her again next year and we were going to miss her. And a whole heap of the girls started saying, I'm going to be a teacher when I grow up, just like you. And I remember saying, nope, I want to be a writer. And that's all I wanted to be for a while when I was in primary school. I wanted to be a writer. But I do remember the first time that I started thinking that teaching was going to be my thing. And it was, I think it was in grade 3. Our music teacher had paired us up, the weak student with the strong student, to try and learn, I think it was Seesaw Marjorie Daw on the recorder. And so I was paired up with this boy, and I remember trying to teach him this song on the recorder. And I said to him, I'll just play the first bar, just those two notes, just over and over again. And once he got that, I said, okay, play the next bar. And so we played that over and over again until he got that. And I said, okay, put the first bar and the second bar together and play that. And so we kept doing that until basically he had the whole song. And I just remember that aha moment where it was like, oh my gosh, you've got it. And he was excited and I was excited. And I got addicted to that feeling. And I just knew that teaching was just this amazing thing. And I thought, I think I want to do that. Funny story is though that I actually wanted to be a music teacher at first. I had a music teacher in primary school who I really liked, and she was good, but she wasn't great. And I remember thinking that music was a subject that everybody should enjoy, and I couldn't understand why most of the kids didn't enjoy music. So I thought that maybe one day I could be a music teacher and I could do it better than my music teacher had, and all of the kids would enjoy it and want to be in music. So I went through the rest of my primary school saying, I'm going to be a music teacher. I went through a lot of high school saying, I'm going to be a music teacher. And I joined band and I did music in high school. And then it came to year 11 and I did TE music, and it was just an eye-opening experience. I was no good at it. I just don't have the music ear. I don't have that musical theory. I was terrible at it. And I quickly realized that teaching music wasn't really going to be my thing, and that I didn't think that I could go to college and do teaching music. So I started to think, well, maybe I just want to be a classroom teacher then. Maybe I don't want to specialize in music. Maybe that's something that I can get into later without going through the music college route. So I finished high school and I had a couple of choices for university over here in Western Australia, but I knew that I wanted to go to Edith Cowan. That for me was the university that you go to if you want to be a teacher. Like, that's what I had in my brain. I don't know, I guess their ads on TV had really drawn me into thinking that they were the best. So I was really lucky. They have a local campus to where I live here in Bunbury. And so I decided that I was going to stay in Bunbury, stay in my hometown, stay living with my parents for a while, and go to university here. The complicating part about that is that the course down here was year 1 to 10. And so that's high school. I had no intention of wanting to teach high school at all. Oh, thank you for the heart. I didn't want to teach high school. I knew that. But I didn't want to go to Perth. I was a shy kid. I still am really shy. And I knew that I wouldn't survive very well at the Perth University, so I stayed here. I was a bit disappointed that I didn't get to do kindy and pre-primary. I had thought that maybe that was an area that I might like to have gone into, but I thought, well, maybe if I do year 1 to 10, I can always go back and do a course later on that could help me to teach those years. So yeah, I stayed in Bunbury, and my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, yes, we were high school sweethearts. He went off to university in Perth, and I stayed here in Bunbury. And so on the weekends, we'd always try and catch up whenever we could around uni work. And then during my third year, the 1 to 10 course came back to bite me in the rear really badly. They basically said to us that because our course was 1 to 10, we had to do a high school prac. And because I was in third year, there was only 2 pracs left. Your third year prac, which is 4 weeks in a school, and your ATP, which is 10 weeks. So I made the decision that I didn't want to do my ATP in a high school. So I said, okay, I'm going to do that as my third year prac. And so I had to do year 9 and 10, and I passed the prac. I did really, really well. My prac supervisor was glowing about me, but I did not enjoy it. They had put me in maths, and I'm okay at maths, but yeah, that high school stuff, you're graphing, and I was basically learning the stuff to teach the kids the day before I was teaching it to them. And that's not a good way to plan. If you don't know more about the content than you have to teach, then you can't really sequence it very well. You can't plan for it with really interesting lessons because you're basically teaching by the skin of your teeth, and it was just, yeah, I did not enjoy that. So at the end of third year, I got offered this amazing opportunity to do an internship at a school. It was a school that was just opening up the next year, and they wanted to trial this new thing with ECU where they were having interns. You would go into the school, you would have one teacher that you would work with for the entire year, and you would basically tandem teach with that teacher. And I just thought that was the best idea ever, and I signed up for it so quickly. The downside of doing that internship was I actually had to sign up to do some years remote, or not remote, sorry, rural. So you could sign up for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years rural. And my husband at the time, my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, he had decided to do a double degree. So he was in Perth doing engineering. He wanted to do a double degree, which meant his degree was going to take 1 year longer than mine. So I thought, well, if he's going to be stuck in Perth for an extra year anyway, it's not really a big deal for me to go off to some country school and teach for a year, because we're probably going to be separated anyway, because there was no way that I was going to be teaching in Perth. I didn't like the idea of driving in Perth. Perth is, I know our capital city over here in WA isn't as big as some of the other places in Australia, but to me, Perth driving is just, I was not going to do it. So I said to him, I'm going to stay in Bunbury. I'll do something in Bunbury. I'm not going to Perth. So when this internship came up and I was going to go rural, it wasn't a big deal. I was like, okay, I can do that for a year. I can go rural. So I signed up for this internship. I got put in a year 3 class with an absolutely amazing, lovely teacher. And it was just an amazing experience. And I tell anybody, if you are still studying in school and you have the opportunity to do an internship, do it. Because I graduated having spent a whole year in a classroom. I knew exactly what to do and how to do it. I didn't feel like everything was unknown. I felt like I had a handle on everything, and it was just so good. So at the end of that internship, as we got towards the end of the year, my husband, who's watching, hi Jake, he got offered a job in Bunbury where we lived and where we grew up. And so it was decided that that's where we were going to be, and that I would have to try and find a teaching job down here, or I was going to have to do relief teaching. So I don't want to be a relief teacher. I bet most of you guys feel the same. You like being in your own class. You like having your own students. You like setting up things the way you want. You like doing your lesson planning and scheduling out for the year. Relief teaching is not that. Relief teaching is going into one classroom, or maybe if you're lucky, you get, a week long or a term if you're really, really lucky, and you can really make that classroom your own, but most of the time it's day to day, and I didn't want to do that. So I started thinking about, well, okay, I'm going to apply for every job I can. I'm going to try really hard to get a job in Bunbury. But if I can't, and I relief teach, then I need something to help me through that year, to help me on the days where I don't get called in to work and I'm sitting around the house. And I don't remember how it popped into my head. I think maybe I was reading a newspaper and they had that section where you could see all the courses that your local universities are offering you. And psychology popped out to me, and there was a certificate of psychology which would take a year to do. And so I started thinking, okay, Jake's got a job in Bunbury. If I don't get a job, I'll move to Bunbury with Jake and I'll do relief teaching and I'll keep applying for jobs, but I'll do the certificate of psychology at the same time. That will be really good because it will keep me amused for the year, but it will also give me something to put on my resume for missing, that year, for not having worked for that year. I'll be able to say, well, I've got a certificate of psychology. So anyway, I kept applying for jobs and I got 2 interviews, and then one of those interviews was successful, and that principal offered me a job, which was just so exciting. I still remember how that felt, and I was just so happy. I just felt so lucky that both my husband and I had managed to get jobs in Bunbury, which isn't easy. Bunbury's not, it's not Perth, it's not your big capital city, but it is a major town, a major city in WA, and so it can be hard to get a job down here. There isn't often jobs going, so it's a very sought after area because we've got the beaches and the lovely weather. And so when I got that job, I found out that I was going to be doing a CATS program. So I was going to be at the classroom most of the time, but for 2 hours every week, I was going to do CATS, creative and talented students. And I would be taking drama. So I would get to teach drama every 2 weeks. For 2 hours every week, getting tongue-tied here. So that was really exciting, and I realized that the reason I had gotten this job was because in my resume I had written a paragraph about how much I loved assemblies. And I think the paragraph was meant to be about how I integrated things. So I had written about my assemblies and how I integrate them through all the different learning areas, and about how I get the community involved and the parents involved and how much the students love it. And so this principal had obviously seen that, thinking, I want a drama teacher. This girl loves assemblies, has a good background knowledge in it, so we're going to employ her. And I'm just so thankful that I chose assemblies as one of my paragraphs, because I don't think I would have got the job otherwise. So anyway, I'm excited about getting the job, but I also feel really disappointed because here I am wanting to sign up for the certificate in psychology, and I couldn't let it go. So I decided to do both. So in my second year of teaching, I was doing full-time teaching at school while also doing a certificate. So that was 4 units, 2 units a semester. So it was a lot of work, and it got a bit crazy at times, but I somehow stumbled through. I got the certificate of psychology at the end of it, and my principal offered me a job the next year as well. And that next year, I actually got year 3. My first year at my school, I was in year 1, and then I was in year 3. And year 3 is where my heart belongs. It is my favorite year. I love that age group. They don't have the attitude of upper school, but they don't have the baby stuff of lower primary. Like, they don't need their noses wiped, and then you don't need to tie their shoes most of the time. Like, I'm talking about the large cohort of kids. The majority don't need all those things. So I taught year 3 at my current school for, I think it was about 4 years. And during that time I had my first daughter, and my husband and I decided that I was going to go back to work as soon as possible, and that he was going to stay at home and look after her for a while. So I think I took 6 weeks off, and 2 of those were holiday. So I'm a bit of a workaholic. You might be realizing that by now. Thanks, Shannon. Yes, year 3 is awesome. And so I took 6 weeks off because she was born in the middle of the school year, and I didn't like the idea of leaving the kids. They were my babies too, and I wanted to stay with them, and I wanted to keep teaching them, and I didn't want to hand them off to somebody else. I was like, well, they might not be as good as me. Do you ever get that feeling when you just don't want to leave your babies with somebody else? You want to be there for them. Which is funny because I left my baby at home, but she was with my husband, so that's okay. So I continued on, and then the next year I had another baby. She was due at the end of the year in November, so I worked as long as I could up until that point, and then went on maternity leave. And my husband and I had decided that this time I was going to be the one to take time off, and so I took the whole of 2016 off on maternity leave, and it was a terrible year. I I did not cope very well. I was a bad stay-at-home mum, basically. My youngest daughter didn't make it easy on me. She was a terrible sleeper. She would only ever sleep on me. I tried everything, well, my husband and I tried everything we could that year to get her to sleep. You know, every trick, every book, we did it all. But you'd put her down and she would sleep for about 5 minutes in her own bed, and then she'd wake up, and then you'd spend the next 2 hours trying to put her to sleep again. And then it was just this terrible cycle. It really wore me down, and I decided, nah, I want to go back to school. 2017, I'm going back to school. So I managed to get through the rest of the year. I'm very, very lucky. I have a very supportive family, and they all pitched in and they all helped me out to survive that year and to get through it. And so that brings us to 2017, when I got to return to school. Because I was made permanent at my school in, I think it was about 2013. My principal made me permanent, so I knew that I had that job to go back to. I didn't have to worry about all of that. I feel so sorry for people who are fixed termers. You never know how long it's going to roll over for, and when you're going to have jobs. Having permanency is it's just so nice to have that. So I went back in 2017, and I was really nervous at first. There was some stuff that had happened just before I left school that I was very nervous about going back and dealing with the repercussions of. And I was just worried about, having spent a year out of the classroom, was I going to remember things and all of those anxieties. And 2017 walked back in, and I didn't feel like I'd left. The school felt exactly the same. The teachers all were exactly the same. There was only maybe 1 or 2 new faces. It was like, I'm losing the words, but it was just, everything was the same. And so I started teaching again, and everything was great last year. I had a grade 1 class, and they were just fantastic. And then 2018, I'm back in the classroom again full time this year. I'm not allowed to tell you what year I'm in yet. Our school has a thing where they like us to keep it a secret until the parents find out on the first day of school. So that's, what is it, like this year, like 30th or 31st, the kids come back. So that's when I'll be able to tell you guys. And I'm really sorry about that, and it really sucks. I want to scream from the rooftops because I'm really excited, nervous, but really excited. So I can't wait to tell you guys that. But at the moment, I better not get in trouble with my school by telling you. So yeah, I'm comfortable teaching at the school that I'm at, and I have no aspirations of going into admin. That doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't like dealing with parents. I've gotten better at it over the last few years, and being a parent myself has helped me so much with dealing with parents, but I don't want to be an admin member. I don't like school politics. I don't think there should be a thing such as school politics, but there are, and there are games that are played that I don't want to be a part of, so admin is not where I am headed. I also don't want to stay at home and do Mrs. Amy 123 full time. The workload is definitely there, the resource ideas are definitely there to keep me going for a whole year, but my heart belongs in teaching. It's where I need to be. I wake up every morning, okay, maybe not every morning, I wake up most mornings really eager and excited to go to school, and it doesn't seem like a job most of the time. So it's also really exciting this year because my daughter starts kindy this year, and we've decided that she's going to go to the same school that I am at, which, little bit of background knowledge here, is also the school that my husband went to primary school at. So that's really, really cool. She's going to be second generation at our school. And yeah, so she starts kindy. It's so exciting. She's got a uniform and she looks so cute in it. We decided that it was best that she go to the same school as me because it means that I can be there for assemblies and for certificates, and I know what's going on. And I remember when I was in primary school, my mum was a stay-at-home mother, and I loved the fact that she could come up and watch me do all those things. And if I was at a different school to my daughter, then I wouldn't be able to do that. And so, yeah, so she's going to come to our school, and I'm really, really happy with that. There's definitely going to be some challenges along the way at being at the same school as her. But yeah, at the moment, I'm really loving the idea of it. The school is also my school. I live in Australind, and my school is in Bunbury, so that's about a 25-minute drive to get into Bunbury. So it means that she can come in with me each morning, and I don't have to try and, rally up somebody else to drop her off at a school if I was to get her to go to a school around where we live. So that's my background in education. I haven't really specialised in any area in particular. I'm kind of a bit of a jack of all trades. I've been on English committees and maths committees and behavioural committees and technology committees. So I've been a bit of everywhere. I've just never found somewhere that I just wanted to, stick to, and that was it. I sort of like to see the whole picture, and I like the fact that I don't get into one little niche area, because it means that I can hop around and I can see things from a different perspective. And I think sometimes committees need that, because you can be on the English committee and you can think one idea is great, but maybe, you've got to bring in ideas from other places, and you've got to think about how will that impact the rest of the school and the other areas. And I'm going to jump off now, and I'll catch you guys later.